It can be hard to imagine how difficult life was in Ireland, particularly in rural settings, before electricity supply was made widely available. Activity on the farm and in rural households was dictated by the availability of daylight. After dark, limited lighting was provided by oil lamps or candles. Water had to be drawn from a well and carried home by foot or by cart. Clothes had to be washed by hand or with the hand-powered wringer washer. Heating and cooking depended on solid fuel such as timber and turf, often cut and harvested by the family. Cooking was confined to an open hearth or range. Food safety was difficult to ensure without any form of refrigeration. Industrial development was not feasible without a supply of electricity. The River Shannon had long been the focus of various plans to bring electricity to Ireland, but these were not possible due to political unrest in Ireland and abroad. In 1923, a young engineer called Thomas McLaughlin returned to Ireland after working abroad with Siemens in Berlin and studying hydroelectric schemes in Europe. In 1925, he persuaded the Irish government to construct a hydroelectric station at Ardnacrusha, which would power a national grid and enable rural electrification. A budget of 5.1 million was allocated to this ambitious project, 20% of Ireland's national budget in that year. The construction of the Shannon hydroelectricity scheme at Ardnacrusha was a massive undertaking. To avoid flooding Limerick City, it was built upstream at Ardnacrusha. The Shannon scheme has four main parts. The intake weir at Partine, built across the River Shannon. It regulates the speed of river and diverts 2/3 of its water into the 13-kilometre long Headrace Canal, which feeds water to the power station at Ardnacrusha. At Ardnacrusha, gravity is used to feed the water into huge downward pipes, creating a waterfall-like drop. The water's force spins the turbines, producing kinetic energy. This is fed into a generator, which turns it into electrical energy, which is sent to the power grid. A 2-kilometre tail race takes the outflow water back to the river. "14,000 Irish and 1,000 German men worked and lived on site at Ardnacrusha, County Clare. Ships from Germany crowded Limerick docks with large quantities of material and machinery. A railway was constructed to transport these to the site. A temporary power station was set up to power the workshop's electrical crane, excavators and other machinery. 100 kilometres of narrow gauge railway was installed to navigate around the scheme. 100 steam-powered locomotives operated on these, pulling 3,000 wagons, which moved massive amounts of excavated clay and rock from the Headrace and Tailrace canals. 3 large rock crushing plants were used to excavate the rock so it could be reused as a hard core to build a power station. These existing roads between Limerick and Ardnacrusha, which were in an appalling state, had to be developed by local authorities. 3 new reinforced bridges had to be built across the Headrace Canal to service existing roads. By the early 1920s, just over 40,000 Irish homes, mainly located in Dublin, had electricity, but it was supplied by local authorities and private companies. By the 1930s, 240,000 homes in urban areas had power, but over 400,000 rural dwellings did not. The economic cost of rollout in rural areas took place in phases. From 1946 to 1965, power was brought to 81% of rural Ireland. After 1965, work continued to connect the last remaining areas to the national grid, with 99% connection by 1975. The last area to receive electricity was remote Black Valley in County Kerry in 1978. The immediate impact of electricity was apparent, greatly reducing the drudgery associated with many home and farm tasks. Rural homes now enjoyed light at the turn of a switch, as well as a range of modern conveniences, such as electric kettles, irons, heaters, and corn grinders. Electric water pumps brought running water on tap, eliminating the chore of drawing water from the well, and enabling the development of group water schemes from the 1950s. Farmers could now utilise modern farm technology, such as infrared heaters for piglets and chickens, outdoor lighting enabling them to work past dusk, feed grinders, electric welders. The options were limitless. Rural Ireland was now a viable location for new industries, providing employment, reducing emigration, and boosting local economies. Ultimately, electrification offered rural Ireland the opportunities for quality of life appropriate for the 20th century.